Good morning, class. Let's continue the topic nephrotic syndrome. Diagnosis of nephrotic syndrome. So, firstly, we will take the history of the patient regarding the previous renal disease, regarding any cardiovascular disease, for example, hypertension, ascites, or any other medical history, and also we will take the history regarding any previous renal surgery. A series of biochemical tests are required in order to arrive at an accurate diagnosis that verify the presence of illness. But it also important to take the history of the patient to confirm the diagnosis. Next, we will perform the physical examination. In the physical examination, edema, it is a salient features of nephrotic syndrome. Salients, that is the most important feature of nephrotic syndrome, because it arises in the patient with nephrotic syndrome because of increased sodium and water retention in the body, and initially it develops around the axe and leg, which is called ankle edema and periorbital edema, and with the time edema becomes generalized and may be associated with an increase in weight, and it develops in the ascites. So it is called, when edema is generalized, means edema is present in whole body, then it is called ascites, and it also causes accumulation of fluid in the lungs, that is called pleural effusion, and the hematuria, which is presence of blood in the urine, and hypertension can also manifestate in a minority of the patient with nephrotic syndrome. Next, we will take the urine test. In this, a urine analysis can reveal the abnormalities in urine, such as large amount of protein, which is called proteinuria, and the blood test, it can show the low levels of protein and albumin, that is hypoproteinemia, and often it decrease level of blood protein overall, and loss of albumin, which is associated with increase in blood cholesterol and blood triglyceride level. So in the blood test, we will find two things. First one is hypoproteinemia, and second one is dyslipidemia. There is presence of lipid. Next one is creatinine and urea nitrogen level in blood also might be measured to assess overall kidney function, because it is also increased in case of nephrotic syndrome. Next, we will perform the ultrasound. In this, we use sound waves to create an image of kidney, and doctors can use image created to evaluate the structure of kidney as well as functional unit of kidney, that is nephron. Next, chemical examination of urine to find out the proteinuria. So here the three grades are of proteinuria. First one is mild proteinuria, second one is moderate proteinuria, and third one is heavy proteinuria. The normal urine protein level is less than 150 milligram in per 24 hour, and the morning sample is preferred for this test. So the normal level is less than 150 milligram per 24 hour, but in case of nephrotic syndrome, in the mild proteinuria, the urine protein level is less than 500 milligram per deciliter. Moderate proteinuria up to 4 gram per day or 24 hour, and in case of heavy proteinuria, more than 4 gram per day. So there is massive proteinuria, that means excess removal of protein, excess presence of protein in the urine. And there are different type of protein found in the urine, for example albumin, globulin, mucin, blood protein, which is called hemoglobin. Next is dipstick test. This test is used to detect the presence of albumin in the urine, which is detected by a dipstick test. In this, urine sample is collected, and after the urine sample collection, for this test we place a strip of chemically treated paper which is called dipstick into the urine. Firstly we will collect the urine sample, then we will dip a dipstick in the urine, and patches on dipstick change the color when the protein is present in the urine. So with the help of this test we will find out the presence of albumin in urine. Next we will perform the kidney biopsy. You already know about the kidney biopsy. In this case, in the kidney biopsy, a needle is inserted through the skin and into the kidney, and the tissue is collected and sent to a lab for the pathological changes and to identify the disease progress. Next we'll talk about the complications. So here so many complications are there. First one is blood clot. Blood clot, proteins that prevent the clotting can be lost from the blood and that raise the risk of blood clot formation. यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, बहुत ज़्यादा अमाउंट में प्रोटीन का यूरिन में क्या हो रहा है, एक्सक्रीशन हो रहा है, और प्रोटीन क्या करते हैं, हमारे क्लॉटिंग फैक्टर को प्रमोट करते हैं. क्लॉटिंग फैक्टर जो है उस ब्लड जो क्लॉट होता है उसको इनिबिट करते हैं. लेकिन यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, जो प्रोटीन्स हैं वो क्या हो रहे हैं, ऑलरेडी लॉस हो रहे हैं ब्लड से, एंड दैट रेजिंग द रिस्क ऑफ ब्लड क्लॉट फॉर्मेशन. Next one is high cholesterol and triglyceride. More cholesterol and triglyceride can be released into blood due to the hypoproteinemia and dyslipidemia. Because due to the hypoproteinemia, that is the low protein or excess excretion of protein in urine, there is low serum oncotic pressure which leads to reacting hepatic protein synthesis, जिसकी वजह से क्या होता है, ऑन्कोटिक प्रेशर लो हो जाता है. ऑन्कोटिक प्रेशर लो होने की वजह से जो हिपैटिक जो सिस्टम है, यानी कि जो हमारा लीवर है, वो प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस के लिए कंपनसेट करना शुरू कर देता है. तो उसके साथ साथ जो लिपिड है, लाइपोप्रोटीन्स है, वो सभी का भी सिंथेसिस होने लगता है, एंड दैट इंक्रीज द लेवल ऑफ लिपिड एंड कोलेस्ट्रॉल. High blood pressure kidney damage can increase the amount of waste product in the blood, and this can raise the blood pressure. Next one is malnutrition. Because of protein loss from the body, the weight is also lost, and which may be marked by the swelling or edema. Next one is anemia due to hematuria or presence of blood in the urine, a lack of RBC to carry the oxygen to the organ and tissue of the body, and patient get anemic. Next complication, acute kidney failure, chronic kidney disease. Kidney damage can cause kidney to stop filtering the waste, which require emergency situation, for example dialysis और kidney transplantation. Infection भी बहुत होने के chances रहते हैं नेफ्रोटिक सिंड्रोम वाले पेशेंट को, for example pneumonia. Under active thyroid gland, thyroid doesn't make enough thyroid hormones. People with nephrotic syndrome get easily the chance of hypothyroidism, because in case of nephrotic syndrome there is increased thyroxine requirement because of urinary loss of free and protein bound thyroid hormone. ऐसे प्रोटीन जो कि थायराइड हार्मोन के साथ बाइंड अप होते हैं, वो उनका लॉस होने लगता है. उनका लॉस होने की वजह से यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, ऑलरेडी थायराइड जो हार्मोन्स है उसकी भी रिक्वायरमेंट इंक्रीज हो गई है, एंड दैट कॉज hypothyroidism. Next is coronary artery disease. Coronary artery disease होने का रीज़न यहाँ पे क्या है, क्योंकि नेफ्रोटिक सिंड्रोम का सबसे एक मेन फीचर्स है डिसलिपिडीमिया, विच इज़ वेल नोन फैक्टर फॉर द एथ्रोजेनेसिस. जो नेफ्रोटिक सिंड्रोम वाले जो पेशेंट होते हैं उनमें डिसलिपिडीमिया होता है, यानी कि जो लिपिड का लेवल है वो इंक्रीज़ हो जाता है, और लिपिड का लेवल इंक्रीज़ होने की वजह से एथ्रोस्क्लेरोसिस यानी कि फैटी मटेरियल जो आर्टरियल वॉल में डिपॉजिट होता है उसके चांसेस बढ़ जाते हैं. नेक्स्ट इज मैनेजमेंट ऑफ नेफ्रोटिक सिंड्रोम. सो फर्स्ट मैनेजमेंट इज टू मेंटेन द ब्लड प्रेशर ऑफ द पेशेंट, and for this we will give the blood pressure medication, for example angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor, which is helpful to reduce the blood pressure and the amount of protein which is released in urine, for example lisinopril, captopril, enalapril. Next one is another group of drug which is used to treat the high blood pressure, that is angiotensin 2 receptor blocker, and also it is called statin, which is helpful in lowering the cholesterol level, for example losartan, valsartan. And another medication like renin inhibitor also might be used, but it is used through the AC inhibitor and angiotensin 2 receptor blocker. Next one is water pills or diuretics. These helps to control the swelling by increasing the kidney fluid output, and diuretics medication typically include furosemide. It is also called Lasix, and other include spironolactone and thiazide such as hydrochlorothiazide or metolazone. Next, blood thinners, anticoagulants. These might be prescribed to decrease the blood ability to clot, because in the case of nephrotic syndrome there is massive proteinuria, and because of massive proteinuria there is increased formation of blood clots. So to dissolve the blood clot, blood thinner is prescribed, for example heparin and warfarin. Next, immune system suppressing medication. Medication to control the immune system, for example corticosteroid like hydrocortisone can decrease the inflammation which accompanies some of the other condition which can trigger or precipitate triggers or precipitate the factors which leads to nephrotic syndrome, for example rituximab, cyclosporin and cyclophosphamide. Next one is dietary management. Eating, diet and nutrition, it is more important, it's play main important role in the patient with nephrotic syndrome. For the people with nephrotic syndrome, we advise to limit the intake of dietary sodium and also reduce the salt intake. Fluid may be recommended to help to reduce the edema, and a diet which is low in saturated fat and cholesterol may also be recommended to help to control the hyperlipidemia. Next is nursing management. So nursing diagnosis, risk for infection related to immunosuppressive drug or immunosuppressive condition. Next is fluid and electrolyte balance related to edema, impaired skin integrity related to disease process, altered nutrition related to anorexia, altered kidney function related to disease condition, knowledge deficit related to disease process. Nursing management, first we will monitor the sign of infection and edema, and for this we will regularly monitor the intake and output of the patient. Daily urine examination for albumin is required for this. Next, we will promote the rest of the patient. Administer the prescribed medication. Patient with nephrotic syndrome are receiving steroids, so the nurse must be aware of the side effect of these drugs. Patient should be observed for the GI bleeding, especially for the case of hematuria. Next one is maintain the fluid and electrolyte balance. For this, nurse should monitor the serum sodium level. Fluid intake, either oral or IV, should be strictly monitored. Assess for the venous stasis, ascites and pleural edema, and daily weight should be accurately charted. Provide the emotional support to the patient. Prevent from the infection. The patient is on or corticosteroid therapy, that is on immunosuppression therapy, and there is a loss of immunoglobulins in the urine, so these patients are greater risk of any infection, for example meningitis, pneumonia, pleural effusion. So strict aseptic technique should be used to during any procedure, and also monitor the patient vitals for detecting any sign of infection. Isolate the patient if he or she is on the immunosuppressive therapy. Topic has completed.